All new, all different Marvel. After the events of the Secret Wars crossover, Stark returns to his normal self with no signs of his inverted personality. 8 months following the return of the universe as seen in the all-new, all-different Marvel event, Tony works in his laboratory non-stop after his position as an innovator had been put in doubt, because an MIT student reverse-engineered some of his technology. Stark develops a new armor that can change shape according to the situation he would find himself. When Stark's new IFRIDALI informs him that Madame Mask has broken into the ruins of Castle Doom, he travels to Latveria to investigate and runs into some revolutionaries who are then defeated by a man in a suit. To his amazement, Iron Man's armor computer identifies him as Dr. Doom with his face restored. Dr. Doom claims that he wanted to help Iron Man. After learning from Dr. Doom that Madame Mask has taken a decoy of the wand of Watum, Tony Stark confronts Madame Mask. Upon learning that Madame Mask is not allied with Dr. Doom, Tony is attacked by her with a burst of energy that damages his armor. FRIDALI manages to gain control of the suit and takes Tony to a safe location. Iron Man tracks Madame Mask to Marina del Rey. After finding a tape recorder with her messages, Tony is attacked by several black silhouettes with swords. Iron Man escapes the ninjas that are attacking him and manages to defeat most of them, but they kill themselves before he can interrogate any of them. Iron Man and Dr. Doom arrive at Mary Jane Watson's newest Chicago nightclub Jackpot when Madame Mask attacks it. As Mary Jane distracts Madame Mask by knocking off her mask, Iron Man and Dr. Doom discover that Madame Mask is possessed by a demon. Dr. Doom can perform an exorcism on her. Doctor Strange arrives and tells Iron Man he will take Madame Mask with him to fix her metaphysically and then hand her over to SHIELD. Iron Man also informs him of Dr. Doom's help who had left the scene some time ago. 3 days later, Iron Man offers Mary Jane a job to make up for the damage to her nightclub. After speaking with War Machine, Tony Stark meets up at a diner with Amara Pereira when they are unexpectedly joined by Dr. Doom, who wanted to make sure that the demonic possession that affected Madame Mask has not affected Stark or Amara. Stark shows Mary Jane the demonstration of the people that he will be working with. They are interrupted by FRIDALI, who tells Tony that War Machine is missing. Before heading to Tokyo, Tony receives from Mary Jane the emergency number for Peter Parker. In Tokyo, Iron Man is contacted by Spider-Man at War Machine's last known location as he is being observed by ninjas. During the Civil War II storyline, Iron Man protests the logic of using precognitive powers to stop future crimes after the recently emerged Inhuman Ulysses predicted Thanos' attack on Project Pegasus. 3 weeks later, Iron Man is summoned to the Triskelion Line after War Machine is killed in battle against Thanos. When Iron Man learns that War Machine and the Ultimates used Ulysses' power to ambush Thanos, he vows to stop anyone from using that power again. Iron Man infiltrates New Attilan and makes off with Ulysses. At Stark Tower, Iron Man vows to find out how Ulysses' precognition works. The Inhumans attack Stark Tower but are stopped by the Avengers, the Ultimates, and SHIELD. During the confrontation, Ulysses has another vision that he projects to Iron Man and everyone present, showing a rampaging Hulk standing over the corpses of the defeated superheroes. The heroes confront Banner, who was killed by Hawkeye. Barton claims that Banner was about to transform and Banner had previously asked Hawkeye to kill him if he should turn back into the Hulk. Tony is disgusted at this use of Ulysses' power. When his analysis of Ulysses' brain is completed, Tony reveals that Ulysses does not actually see the future, but simply assembles large quantities of data to project likely outcomes. While Danvers continues to use the visions as a resource, Tony objects to the concept of profiling people. This results in a standoff when Tony's side abducts a woman from custody after Ulysses' visions identified her as a deep-cover Hydra agent. Despite the lack of supporting evidence, Iron Man learns that his biological mother was Amanda Armstrong, who had given him up for adoption, and that his biological father was a Hydra double agent named Jude. SHIELD had Armstrong's baby adopted by Howard and Maria Stark. Marvel Now. 2016. In July 2016, it was announced that Tony Stark would hand off the mantle of Iron Man to a 15-year-old girl named Riri Williams. Riri is an MIT student who built her own Iron Man suit out of scrap pieces and, as such, attracted Stark's attention. Early depictions of Williams' suit depict it without the arc reactor but leave the power source for the suit unclear. Another Iron Man-based series titled Infamous Iron Man debuted featuring Doctor Doom sporting his version of the Iron Man armor. This is revealed to be the result of serious injuries sustained by Stark during his final confrontation with Captain Marvel. Danvers' beating leaves Stark in a coma, but he is left alive due to unspecified experiments Stark has carried out on himself over the years. Existing as an eye. Following the revelation that Stark experimented on himself at the end of Civil War II, Beast concludes that the only option is to let the experiments do their job in healing Tony and recover on his own. In Invincible Iron Man #1, an employee of Stark sends Riri Williams an artificial intelligence housing a copy of Tony Stark's consciousness to help her control and mentor in her version of the Iron Man armor. This eye is directly copied from Tony's brain, granting sentience, with Williams commenting on Stark existing as a techno-ghost. As an eye, Stark can walk around as a hard light object and gains the ability to remote control his vast armory of Iron Man suits. In the mighty Captain Marvel #3, the Tony Stark eye goes to Antarctica and visits Captain Marvel with the intent of settling their differences from the Second Civil War. She apologizes to him for her regrets, reconciles with him eventually and they become allies once more. Then in Secret Empire, the Tony Stark eye suits up as Iron Man once again and learns of Captain America's betrayal of Hydra and how he ended up like this. As Hydra tightens its grip across America, the Tony Stark eye leads a team known as the Underground to find the Cosmic Cubes to restore Rogers to his normal self. When things start to escalate, Tony and his crew go rogue in search of answers for the cube. As Iron Man and the Underground search for them, they are intercepted by Captain America and his Hydra team. With both teams encountering each other, they are captured by the Ultron, Hank Pym hybrid, who forces both teams to sit at a dinner table. During dinner, Ultron reveals information about the Hydra Avengers such as Odinson working with Hydra to reclaim Mjolnir, Scarlet Witch being possessed by Thawne, and Vision being affected by an eye virus. Ultron argues that he is doing this because the Avengers have become less of a family over the years as so many of them jump to obey Captain America or Iron Man, despite experience confirming that this is not always a good idea. But Tony counters that the only reason the team failed as a family was because of Hank's abuse towards Wasp. Enraged, Ultron is about to kill everyone, but Ant-Man can calm him down by arguing that Hank remains his inspiration. Ultron allows the Underground to leave with the fragment, arguing that neither side should have an advantage over the other. Back in America, Hydra Supreme has put Namor in a position where he will be forced to sign a peace treaty that gives Rogers access to the Cosmic Cube fragment in Atlantis. But Hydra Supreme muses that he is unconcerned about who will acquire the fragments, as he has an inside man in the Underground. After the Mount was attacked by Thor and the resurrected Hulk led by Hydra, the Underground evacuated the civilians thanks to Hawkeye and the rest of the heroes. Captain America and Iron Man fight as the Mount collapses around them. The Tony Stark eye initiates the Mount's clean slate protocol, and blows up the Mount, killing Madam Hydra, then apologizes to Steve Rogers about their past differences, but the AI survive and, in the aftermath, help the heroes pull the pieces back together to take down Hydra. When Iron Man confronts Hydra Supreme, he and the other heroes are easily overpowered by him and watch the original Captain America defeat his Hydra self and into celebrating their victory. Marvel Legacy Mary Jane Watson and other Stark employees find that Stark's body has completely vanished from its pod, despite tests taken mere hours ago showing no sign of improvement or brain activity. It was discovered that Tony Stark's comatose body was taken to the Stark Industries complex in Dover. Upon awakening when his biological systems rebooted, Tony Stark went into hiding until he fully recovered. Wanting to make sure that James Rhodes was in a similar state that he was in, Tony Stark exhumed his body from Arlington Cemetery and kickstarted the biological systems in him. Afterward, Iron Man and War Machine fought Hood to keep Stark Industries from falling into Hood's hands, where he switched to a version of his Extremis armor. Then he proceeded to defeat Jude when he turned up alive. During the Ultron Agenda arc, Iron Man went up against the Ultron, Hank Pym, who began a plan to merge humans with robots while taking up the name Ultron Pym. Iron Man was briefly fused with his armor. After using Stark Unlimited's atomic separator on himself, Iron Man figured out that Hank Pym was dead the moment he accidentally fused with Ultron. Not wanting to prove Tony right, Ultron Pym surrendered to Iron Man and the Avengers. As it turned out that Iron Man died during the Civil War II storyline, Arno Stark used this to his advantage to acquire Stark Unlimited through a merger with Baytronics. With the combined resources, he built the Iron Man Armor Model 66 as his attempt to recreate the Godbuster armor. Now having a new destiny, Arno Stark became the latest person to take on the Iron Man mantle. Because of his revelation that he is now a simulated I at the start of the Iron Man 2020 storyline, Tony Stark became Mark I and started to establish the AI army, which also consists of Albert, Awesome Android, Egghead 2, H.T.R.B. that is, M11, Machine Man, Machinesmith, Kizimodo, Superdoptoid, Walking Stiletto, the Dreadnoughts, a Sentinel, several Constructobots, several Nick Fury LMDs, and an unnamed bomb disposal robot. This group of robots and androids wants to obtain equal rights with organic beings in whatever way possible. Mark I provided them with a hideout on Floor 13. A solid light construct that can only be accessed by robots and androids. With the establishment of Floor 13, Mark I keeps the AI army safe from its enemies and oppressors. Tony Stark was restored to normal thanks to his allies. Then he placed Arno into virtual reality when he found that Arno's illness was returning, as the virtual reality showed Arno leading the charge in defeating the extinction entity.